am out of the campsite. Happy Monday to everyone. As always, let me go make sure that I'm in the places that I'm supposed to be and you guys can hear me. Yep, there I am. Okay, happy Monday morning. Happy Monday morning huddle. It is a big one this morning. And before I go into some coaching, I just want to bring some gratitude into the group and into the morning and into the session. Good morning. So many, many moons ago, many years ago, I started my mornings with asking myself what I'm grateful for. And someone once told me that I needed to make a gratitude list. And years ago, when you asked me to make a gratitude list, it was kind of difficult. But today, I could give you a crazy, crazy laundry list of all the things that I'm really grateful for. So I won't do that to you this morning, but I would ask that you start your morning this morning. I ask that you start thinking about what you're grateful for and write a few of those things down or in the chat. Tell me even better in the chat. Tell me the things that you are grateful for this morning. And then we will talk about all the biggie stuff today. Back in the day when I did these morning huddles with teams, whether it was a small team or global team, literally that's how I would sometimes start the huddle, is going around and asking everyone what they're grateful for. And my senior, like my boss, used to get so frustrated with me saying, like, why are you bringing that into the business? And like, because when we start our mornings with this is truly why, when we start our mornings thinking about what we're really grateful for, those things are typically not material things. Those things are typically things that can't be bought. And those things are things that really motivate us to have more of. So thinking of being grateful for your family and your children and your friends and your animals, like all those things consume love. And when we think about what we're really grateful for, usually it stems down to the root of joy, happiness, and love. So, so what are you grateful for? Now for the big stuff. So I sent out this message yesterday. Yeah, me too. Like, before we do that, I used to think that the word serenity was not something I could ever grasp. Just having serenity, having sereneness in my life. And what a blessing it is to have some serenity in our lives. So true. So I put out this post yesterday that no one understood. And I did that on purpose because I was like, I want to see if everybody comes in saying, what are you talking about, Dora? Some of you that work with me might know what the deal is with that post, but overall, most people have no idea what the Q times Q equals R formula is. So we're going to talk about a couple of things. I want to embrace how to go about tapping into your target audience, doing outreach. So tapping into your target audience, doing outreach is what I want to embrace and talk about today. Knowing that there are multiple ways to tap into your audience, but this specific way today, we're going to talk about outreach. And I want to talk about it because there's a lot of different experiments that you can be doing, and you can be doing them at once. You don't have to be like waiting. So, okay. Every single activity, sales activity, lead gen activity, income generating activity, anything you're doing outbound, anything you're doing to go and find your clients, requires this parent formula. And this parent formula is having an audience, having a target audience, having a quality audience. That's the Q. The Q is quality. That's the first Q for the parent formula. Q times Q equals R. So quality is the first. So knowing that there needs to be some type of audience, and that means that you need to have some type of list, right? A list to actually do the outreach. So that's one Q. And then the second times Q is how many. So volume matters. How many of those ideal audiences, target audiences are you reaching out to equals R, which is results. So we want to measure our success and we want to measure lack of success. The R is the data. The R is like what happened when we did this. So that's what we want to see. The R doesn't mean that it's absolutely a sale. Now, if it is, great. But the R is just that measurement, the result. So we understand what the data is. Okay. So now it's like, okay, well, how do I know how much volume and how do I know the list? And how do I figure that out? So here's the deal. We have an opportunity when doing outreach to work in like three different buckets of outreach. And three different buckets of outreach, we have an opportunity to be working that um, all the time. So we don't have to do like one list or one outreach or whatever. We can be multifaceted in our outreach. So for all you folks that are passionate, multi-passionate, get multi-passionate about outreach because this is an area that you can do multiple things. You don't have to tie yourself to one thing, okay? So here's what I want to share when it comes to these buckets. Here's the strategy. So you take this formula, right? You take this like target audience, and then you take this volume equals results, and you put it into these different buckets of outreach. So we have cold audiences, right? So we have a target audience that's really, really cold. So say we're an event planner and we want to focus on women's conferences in 2024 and it's really cold. They have no idea who we are. So we're going to go and build a really big cold audience for that sector. So that means I'm going to get an IO system, like I'm going to use Apollo IO or Hunter or Seamless IO, and I'm going to get as filtered as I possibly can. So women's conferences, this is the location, this is the time frame, and I'm going to go build a list. And that list itself, because it's so cold, it could be 500, it could be 1,000, it could be 2,000. We want it robust. We want that list really big. We want to make sure it consists of the right things though. We want to make sure it consists of the right email, the right website, the right information for who we want to contact. The contact information is important because we're going to use that list and because it has such volume, and we're going to send out outreach to that large volume through what's called an email drip campaign. So cold audiences require large volume. Okay. Now, that doesn't mean that every single cold message that you send requires a large volume. You may come across somebody just throughout your day that you use like, oh, that's an ideal person. I better go and send them a message. You absolutely can. This is just formality, strategically within these buckets, how it works. So I could be working 2 or 3 target audiences at one time, right? With such a cold audience. So I could have women's conferences, um, accounting firm company parties, and bridal shows. I don't know. I'm just thinking of, and I could have 3 lists and sending out 3 different marketing email campaigns to those 3. That is one example of what that would look like. And it's not like the have to example, it's one example. That's what's so great about being able to do outreach like this, is that you get to really experiment, right? So, um, so understanding the conversion when you're working on really cold audiences and building that list and doing that outreach, a couple of things to know. One is that the conversion is low, right? So the conversion, the result column, the conversion is low. If you get a 2 to 3% conversion of someone to schedule with you, that's really, really good. Or even to, like, connect with you, that's actually really, really good. Um, the second thing is that it takes several touches. So if you send out one email to 1,000 women's conferences and you don't get a response, that's normal. So it takes multiple touches, and that's what's called an omni-channel. An omni-channel basically means that you are, setting it up so they get touched a few times, that it's not just a one and done. So that's called an omni-channel drip campaign, which those can be really fun, to activate. So that's cold, right? So a lot of us have really cold audiences, and all we're doing with those cold audiences, this is what we're doing right now. All we're doing with those cold audiences is that we're, like, figuring out, almost at time. We're figuring out who they are. Like, we have those avatars, we understand who they are. Then we're taking our offer and we're putting it out into the world. We're putting it out into the world by posting it on social media, by going live like this, right? And it's not converting. So do you see the difference? Do you see, like, absolutely do both. Put your offer out into the world, go live, um, send it in your newsletter, um, do your posting on social media. But understand that that is not outreach. That is inbound. That is how people find you. It is not how you find your people. If you don't hear anything else today, hear that. The difference between marketing and sales is that when it comes to marketing, that is inbound. It's how people find you. We need it, absolutely. But we must have the sales process with it, which is outbound, how you find your people. How you find your people and how your people find you. You put that together and that's your growth strategy. That's your growth plan. That's how you put it together. I get so excited when I share this because I know how much it works. And it can work really quickly for you if you do the work. If you must implement. Okay, so that's cold. So that's an example, an idea of the cold. Then you have warm. So the second bucket is warm. I have a warm audience. A warm audience requires less volume. Um, so you don't have to have such a robust big list, but it does mean that it's warm. Warm means that they have an idea who you are. They have seen you somewhere. You have met somewhere. It is not completely cold. So this audience can be not as robust. And these can also be very, customized, just like your hot. So customized meaning you're sending messages very personalized, very customized, because these are warm. And then the third is your hot list. So your hot list is something that you are working every single week. You have a hot list. This hot list is a list of people that you have on a whiteboard, that you have somewhere that's visible to you every single day, that you're working and saying, these are the prospects that I am going to convert this week. That's your aim. So these are people that that they know you, that they're actively deciding whether or not that they should work with you. And if you don't have those yet, then you want to start with what is in your network. people that are really in your network that you have not scrubbed. They're there, you just have not found them. So you have to go and find them. Again, going through all of your networks to say, oh my gosh, these are the people that are actually ideal clients. So those are the 3 buckets around the Q times Q equals R formula just for outreach. That's it. So there are multiple activities that we're working on weekly, and outreach is one of them. One of them. So, yeah, was this helpful? I'd really love to know if this was helpful. Even more important, how are you going to implement this week? How are you going to implement the Q times Q equals R strategy around outreach this week? Are you going to up your game and say, maybe I should be doing more outreach? Am I going to up my game, and am I going to get some more lists built out? Am I going to up my game and really focus on this hot list this week in addition to a cold list? What are you going to do? And then lastly, we didn't talk about messaging, right? So we just talked about the tactful steps, and what it is. So messaging is obviously really important. Like, how am I actually going to do this? What does the messaging talk about? So how about we dive into that sometime this week? I talk about it a lot, but we didn't do it today. So I'll dive into that sometime this week. Another way you can get your hands on it is those 2 workshops that are inside my master's community. There's 2 workshops. So if you're not part of the Women Who Soar Masters community, you'll want to get in there, because this is the stuff that we talk about. All right, all. If you're coming in late or you're coming in not live and watching the replay, please put #replay so I know that you were here. Please add feedback. Please add notes, questions, all the above. I love to hang out with you guys through the day. And thanks so much for hanging out with me on your Monday morning. Have a blessed Monday.